evening, everyone. One more time. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Everything we do twice. So tonight, you're not seeing double. There really are two bands here. We're very privileged, honored, happy to welcome the Palmyra-Eagle Band to our concert this evening. We think we're going to sound, you'll notice we sound a little different tonight. So anyway, and it's all for the better. So we thank you for coming. I just wanted to point out our sponsors this evening. We have the American Legion Auxiliary, thanks to them for sponsoring us, as well as the Roger and Sue Esslinger family. Now, I never knew Franklin Elsie. I did know his widow, Shirley, and as some of you may know, this bandstand was built or rebuilt, if you wish to say, in honor of Franklin Elsie. So there is a significance that we have a special band tonight, and it's for a special cause. So anyway, thank you for coming, and as the evening progresses, we'll be alternating between Ed Pierce, the director for Palmyra-Eagle, and our own director, Dale Armentrout. So thank you again for coming.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we will start out with God Bless America, written by Irving Berlin in 1918 while he was in the Army. It was revised in 1938 when Kate Smith sang it on her radio show on Armistice Day. Here it is, God Bless America. Next on the program, we have a march by Sousa the Thunderer. He wrote it in 1889. The origin of the name is not known, although it's speculated that it gets its name from the pyrotechnic effects of the drum and bugle in the score. It is also one of its most famous pieces. So here is the Thunderer.
to do a pair of tunes from The Sound of Music right now. At this point in the show, Fräulein Maria has taken the children into the hills and all around Vienna and taught them the basics of music with this wonderful Rodgers and Hammerstein tune. She's made children's play clothing out of the curtains that were in the house. They're having a grand time. If you remember that scene in the motion picture where she teaches them to the song Do Re Mi, if you've ever looked into some of the history on that motion picture, you're going to find that that magnificent scene was filmed with about 30 separate cuts all over Vienna. And people to this day still go to their favorite scene in Do Re Mi and either walk around the fountain or go between the arches. All depends on whichever frame happened to catch your eye when you were watching Do Re Mi in this wonderful, wonderful film adaptation. Here's Do Re Mi. In a show filled absolutely with endless musical treasures, everybody's favorite moment is when the captain realizes that his children have rediscovered love and joy through music. And when he comes into the music parlor and he's strumming the guitar and enjoys with Edelweiss, then we know the Von Trapp family singers are going to be a sure thing by the end of the show. Edelweiss was not a sure thing when they took the show on trial. In fact, actually, when they had the show on trials in Boston, the tune didn't exist. They ran a half a dozen performances, and Rodgers and Hammerstein realized that there was something missing. They alluded to something Austrian, but they didn't really perform it the way the show existed at that time. And they put together, literally on the spot, Edelweiss. Now, what most people don't realize, it's such a life-affirming lyric. Bless my homeland forever, soft and white, clear and bright, you look happy to greet me. The fly in the ointment was, as Oscar Hammerstein penned that beautiful lyric, he knew he was dying of cancer. He knew he only had weeks to live. He knew he wasn't going to see the show through to complete fruition. But what a testimony to character that that man could reach inside and find the strength of will and character to pen that marvelous life-affirming lyric for Edelweiss. When Oscar Hammerstein passed away, all of Broadway went dark for 2 minutes in his honor. The wonderful, the very beautiful Edelweiss.
Next is something we had fun rehearsing, the Mickey Mouse March. Written by Jimmy Dodd, the show aired from October 1955 to 1959 on ABC. In the show's opening, the song is partially performed by Dumbo and Jiminy Cricket. Dodd wrote other songs over the course of the series also. So here is the Mickey Mouse March.
Hi, Dale. Hi, kids. Mr. Red here. You know why I can't play clarinet? Because of these. Terrible. Oh my. I'll play trombone instead. Anyway, Dale, do you know what the days were in the Mickey Mouse Club?
No, I don't.
Well, every day was a special day at the Mickey Mouse Club. Do you know what the days were in the Mickey Mouse Club? Anybody know? All right, here we go. Monday was Fun with Music Day. Tuesday was Guest Star Day. Wednesday was Anything Can Happen Day. Thursday was Circus Day. And Friday was Talent Roundup Day. The Mickey Mouse Club premiered on October 3rd, 1955. Now, everybody seems to think, this show ran forever. No. It only ran for 3 years, but we ran 5 days a week. And then we went into eternal reruns. So, I guess it's okay. Anyway, I'm ready to do my part. Can you just reach my whistle, please? I can't reach it with my hands. This is my solo tonight. Thank you, Bill. We're going to take you back in time right now, 75 years roughly. The nation was just tremendously united. The great struggle was on. What kind of world we would have our children grow into. And it was a time of victory gardens, bond drives, scrap metal drives, war bonds, saving stamps, war rallies and tours, draft notices, and a two-ocean war. And nobody knew when it was going to end. But the music that came out of the 40s just kept the Great Crusade going on no uncertain terms. We know that very well what the big bands played. But surprisingly, a lot of the tunes that the big bands played were also played by bands like these. And what were bands like these? The city bands. They were defense plant bands. They were Army or Armed Service Division or naval units or air units. USO bands. They were performing literally all over the world, constantly, and keeping the morale up on all the fronts, wherever they went. It was a magnificent effort. So, we're going to transform one of those big band tunes for this big band right here, In the Mood. One, two, three, go!
Okay, we're going to change the pace a little bit. Irish tune from County Derry is an area that originated in County Londonderry area in Ireland, now in Northern Ireland. It is popular among the Irish as well as throughout the world. The song Danny Boy uses the tune with a set of lyrics written in the early 20th century. Irish tune from County Derry.
We've got one more Sousa offering for you. In 1922, John Philip Sousa was inducted into the Shriners Temple, the Alma Temple in Washington, D.C. The next year, the Shriners were having one of their massive conventions in Washington, and they asked Mr. Sousa to write a special march for the occasion. They also told him that there would be many Shriner musicians on hand to play at Griffith Stadium when they premiered this march. The band that John Philip Sousa had, in addition to the mighty Sousa Band, to play in the stadium, covering the stadium field, he had 6,200 musicians. Yeah, I know. I wonder how many bass drums there were. I can't imagine how they coordinated it, but I checked it 3 times in my Paul Byerly biography on Sousa marches. 6,200 musicians. It's always fun to play a Sousa march, and these Sousa marches have these wonderful breakup strains musicians call dogfights, and they're sort of near the end. They're about roughly a half to 2/3 of the way through their little breakup strains. They're a lot of fun to play. Usually very fanfare and drummy kinds of things. This one, I'm sure Mr. Sousa had in mind all those massive trumpets. It has a wonderful, wonderful trumpet section in the dogfight strain of this march. So we'll leave about, let's see, 150 of the musicians behind. We'll stick with our 55 and we'll make it work.
And now back to the 40s with Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, made popular by the Andrews Sisters. Here we go. Here's our bugle boy right here. This is Tim, everybody. Next we have another fun piece. It's called Instant Concert. There are 32 tunes in this piece. Let's see how many of them you can identify.
Just in case you've missed any of the concerts, we're going to catch up on all of them. The Anniversary Song, the Anvil Chorus, the Beer Barrel Polka, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, all four movements. The Billboard March, the Bridal Chorus, Chapanecas, Chicken Reel, Celito Lindo, Dance of the Hours. Deck the Halls, Dixie, Down by the Riverside, Grandfather's Clock, Hava Nagila, Humoresque, In My Merry Oldsmobile, Irish Washerwoman, Jeannie with the Light Brown Hair, Jingle Bells, Laura's Theme, La Sorelia, March Militaire, My Old Kentucky Home. New World Symphony, Orpheus, Pagliacci, Poet and Peasant, Rule Britannia, Stars and Stripes Forever, Stranger in Paradise, Waltz of the Flowers, Westminster Chimes, When the Saints Go Marching In, William Tell, and the Blue Danube Waltz, and not one more tune. Please. 1948, the war was over, the boys were home, the GI Bill was in full flourish, and us baby boomers arrived. Yay us. And now we're retiring. For years, American film audiences had a steady stream of either stirring patriotic films for the times, like Winging a Prayer, 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, Casablanca, or great musical extravaganzas like This Is the Army and Yankee Doodle Boy. But all of that was done, and it was time to, well, have a good laugh, have fun. Our cares were behind us, we won the war, and it was time to start raising kids and having families, and going back to school on the GI Bill. So the leading motion pictures of the day, not surprisingly, were comedies. And at the top of the heap was no less than the guy who entertained countless men and women overseas throughout that struggle, Mr. Bob Hope. And Bob Hope's comedies were riding high for many, many years. He's really struck it big with this next motion picture. It was called The Paleface. It was a Western parody. His co-star was the beautiful Jane Russell. It was the stirring Western saga, not of a cattle drive or not of the cavalry or warring Indians, but of a dentist, and who's known as Painless Peter Potter, roving his way through the West from one catastrophe to another. It was great for Bob the Eternal Coward, and he had a great time and constantly was being propped up by Jane Russell. What we all benefited from was the wonderful tune that won the Academy Award in that year of 1948 as Best Song, Buttons and Bows.
Next we have Waiting for the Robert E. Lee, written in 1912. The title refers to the steamboat of that name. It was featured in the 1927 film Jazz Singer, later recorded by Al Jolson. It has also been recorded by Judy Garland, Benny Goodman, and Dean Martin. Here it is, Waiting for the Robert E. Lee.
We wanted to put this next one on the program just because it's pure Americana. I don't think anyone really knows where Home on the Range came from. Perhaps there is an ascribed author. I've never seen one. But I'll tell you this. If you went any place on the globe and just walked down the street and hummed it or whistled it or just sang the words, you would instantly be recognized as an American. Nothing is more pure Americana homespun than Home on the Range.
Next we have Dixieland Strut. The music sounds just like the name, by Eric Osterman. Here it is.
Next, we're going to, as we approach the close of our concert, I'd like to, first of all, thank Dale and all the members of this wonderful community band that you have here in Lake Mills. Please give a warm hand for your band, the Lake Mills City Band. I can tell you personally that you are blessed beyond measure. You have a wonderful band director, wonderfully talented musicians. You have a beautiful park and a beautiful setting for your band. I don't know, these kinds of things are so easy to take for granted. And you can't. You just cannot take this sort of thing for granted. It's very fragile. It's very easy to dry up and go away. Please continue to support these magnificent people whenever they play. It's very, very worth your time. It's after all a reflection of you, the city of Lake Mills. And I couldn't be prouder to have my band with these wonderful musicians. This concert came about because we have people in both bands that play in other bands. Band people, how many of you, just raise hands, how many of you play in other bands? That's quite a few. And this concert came about because of this wonderful lady and that tall gentleman way in the back there with the beard, as opposed to the other tall gentleman. And there's another person back there who is named Margot, who is shorter. But because Deb and Bernie play in Palmyra and in Lake Mills, Deb came to me with the suggestion of putting our bands together. Dale, when did we meet? We met over here at the cafe. This skullduggery was hatched back in February. And I brought score books, and we just sat and drank about 10 gallons of coffee and went over things. What would be, very audience-friendly, very tuneful, just music to have fun with on a nice summer night. And we arrived at this playlist, so we respectively got parts out, worked them up, Each band has played its own respective season, and we'll continue to. There's one more concert right here 1 week from tonight, correct? So please turn out and support your band. We'll be continuing in Palmyra in 2 weeks. We have a performance in Oconomowoc. So that's all happening. But if it hadn't been for Deb and Bernie, this would not have happened. Deb and Bernie, please stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Here's Armed Forces.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I'd like to personally thank the Palmyra Band and Ed Pierce for joining us tonight. It was a great evening. And now we will close our concert as we do traditionally with our national anthem. Please stand if you are able.